Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, the former girlfriend of Jack Sadler has taken the stand in his murder trial, giving chilling evidence about how the accused asked her to buy a saw, bleach and plastic just days before Jake Anderson Bretner died. Our reporter, Elizabeth O'Neill, has more.
In the Launceston Supreme Court, the jury heard details of the night of Jake Anderson Bretner's death from the accused then-girlfriend Gemma Clark. Taking to the stand, Ms Clark told the court how Jack Sadler asked her to purchase plastic sheets, bleach, disposable gloves, a saw and overalls in the days leading up to Mr Anderson Bretner's death. Ms Clark claims to have been in another room when the alleged murder occurred, recounting when Mr Sadler asked her to close her eyes and hold open garbage bags for him. She fought back tears, saying, "I opened my eyes at one point. I don't know what I saw, but I ran to the ensuite and I felt like spewing. It was dark and red." The jury heard the pair drove towards Scottsdale and stopped on the side of the road. Ms Clark saying the accused, "Jack got me to get what was in the boot out with him and then get back in the car." She told the court they then returned to their Riverside home where Mr Sadler asked Ms Clark to Google where in Launceston garbage bins were being collected the next day. She claims Mr Sadler then loaded his Jeep with garbage bags and the pair drove to West Launceston. Every couple of houses, Jack would ask me to stop. He'd get a bag out, put it in a bin and then get back in the car. Ms Clark said she and Mr Sadler had a strained relationship in the lead up to Mr Anderson Bretner's death. It wasn't a nice atmosphere in the house. We weren't speaking much. The trial continues tomorrow.
On the eve of the federal budget's release, more than $300 million has been earmarked for Tasmanian roads. The state is also set to benefit from a multi-billion-dollar aged care package, but the details of exactly how that will be spent remain unknown.
With a $322 million roads cash splash on the way, there was no raining on the Infrastructure Minister's parade.
This is a phenomenal amount of funding commitment from the federal government. Possibly a record.
The Prime Minister signing the cheque ahead of tomorrow's federal budget, including $80 million for Bass Highway improvements and $48 million for the Algona Road interchange at Kingston.
We've committed as part of our pre-elections policies that we would go to a full interchange. This is a $60 million project. We placed $12 million of Tasmanian government contribution to this. Expected
to commence in 2023.
This upgrade is really badly needed. We've been waiting for it for quite some time, and what we'd like to see now, following the announcement of the funding, is that the state government finalise the plans and get the tender out ASAP.
But economist Saul Eslake says Tasmanians are entitled to be sceptical
as to whether all of these announcements, whether they come from the federal government or the state government, will actually end up being spent in the way that they tell us it'll be spent over the time frame that they tell us they're going to spend it.
He says the state can look forward to a bigger slice of GST, also set to benefit from an expected $10 billion aged care funding package.
Simply because we have an above average proportion of people who are 65 or over and who'll benefit from an expansion of those programs.
But the details of where that money will be spent are yet to be released.
Well, we do need to see a significant investment so that we can see a reduction in the wait list for home care.
Hoping the federal government funds the ambitious target set in a recommendation from the Royal Commission into the sector.
To have that cleared by the end of this year, but I think the government needs to put further investment into workforce development as well for us to be able to achieve that.
Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian businesses are grappling with the reality of no overseas tourists for a second straight summer, with international borders set to stay closed until next year. Some believe the cost will be huge, but the true amount could be felt far beyond tourism.
At Seahorse World at Beauty Point, the COVID recovery has been like treading water.
It hasn't been too bad since about Christmas time.
But owner Craig Hawkins concedes an influx of international tourists would allow the business to swim. 15% of his market is from overseas, meaning a loss of
a couple of 100,000 probably for us.
The federal government has signalled Australia's borders will remain shut to most of the world until at least next year. Tasmania's overseas tourism market is relatively small, about 5%, but nonetheless a significant blow at a time when every dollar counts.
Businesses are basing their future, again, on how we can open to the world.
But the impact extends far beyond tourism. Business leaders say industries like health, agriculture and hospitality, desperate for skilled workers, will struggle to fill the void.
It's going to be a complicated next few years globally, and the pressure is now on the federal government to work a way forward where we can get access to those sorts of workers.
University students too, anxiously awaiting a study return date. The University of Tasmania says more than 1,000 are currently undertaking courses online. But for some, the COVID-enforced border ban has been a blessing as much as a curse.
We just had to pivot and come up with a new bit of a marketing plan.
The Tamar Valley Resort, once hugely reliant on overseas travellers, is now zeroing in on local and national tourists, a punt that so far has exceeded expectations.
Better than pre-pandemic levels. Yeah, so April was a record month, the biggest month we've ever had at the resort.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Dozens of beginner drivers will be forced off the roads after a training car was stolen from a community centre near Launceston overnight. Management of the Northern Suburbs facilities say thieves smashed a lockbox and used bolt cutters to pry open security gates. The car has become a crucial tool for community members looking to get their licence.
We have a waiting list of up to 50 students that are waiting to do their hours. So you can imagine any time the car is off the road, just prolongs that waiting list.
Anyone with information should call police. The University of Tasmania's push into the Hobart CBD is steaming ahead, with the institution set to purchase the Brisbane Street site currently housing Freedom for just shy of $9 million. The location adjoins the forestry building, which UTAS bought in 2019, and will form part of the university's master plan due to be released next week. Freedom is currently looking for a new site to move into ahead of sale settlement in September. In developing local news, a Penguin man has been arrested after allegedly attempting to evade police before crashing his vehicle into a power pole. 31-year-old was wanted by authorities for the alleged armed robbery of the Lighthouse Hotel in Ulverston last week. He's been charged for the incident and will face court tonight. Pint-sized Picassos are scratching the surface of their artistic careers, adding a splash of life to a Tasmanian shopping centre. A giant 6-metre mural modelling our native flora and fauna has been inspired by an interstate artist who fell in love with what the state has to offer.
Crunching the numbers like this isn't always easy work.
I don't really like being at the bottom when you have to crouch.
The mini Michelangelo is aiming high, adding his touch to the whopping wall art at the Shoreline Plaza, showing off species like the swift parrot and waratah.
Tasmania is beautiful, and I'm really passionate about the environment, so a lot of my murals feature native flora and fauna.
In a stroke of luck, WA's Mel McVie fell in love with our unique wildlife, inspiring her to design the mega mural.
We then project it at night to make sure it all keeps the same scale. Then I fill in every little code, so every colour has a code.
Some of the lighter shades need up to 5 coats to show their true vibrancy. And that time adds up, the mural will take 45 hours to complete. Not that the 26 smock sporting students from Howrah Primary are complaining.
It makes me feel free and relieve all my stress.
Relaxing, and it's fun to do.
Not a bad way to spend a day of school. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
In a world first, 60 juvenile giant freshwater crayfish have been released into the wild. Listed as a vulnerable species, the tiny blue creatures were hatched and reared in captivity by Huon Aquaculture in partnership with renowned ecologist Todd Walsh. Native to Tasmania, the species face pressure from predators, poaching and habitat loss.
Okay, let's take a look now with the Crips TSL Player of the Year votes after round 6. And it's all Glenorchy after the side's 77-point thumping of North Hobart. Daniel Joseph was the best of them with 3 votes. Jake Hines starred for Launceston in the Blues' demolition of Clarence at Windsor Park. And Northern Bombers coach Brad Cox-Goodger was best on ground in the win over Kingborough. Jake Hines has jumped 2 votes clear on the leaderboard. Teammate Jay Blackberry follows, along with Riley, Norton, Davis, Clifford and Reardon. Tasmania's women's cricket team is expected to pick up Elise Villani and Molly Strano from Victoria. Villani and Strano were the WNCL's leading run scorer and wicket taker respectively last season. Spinner Samantha Bates is tipped to join Victoria. South Hobart might be top of the NPL Tasmania table, but the coach says we should keep an eye on one of its biggest rivals. The team defeated Kingborough 2-1 on Saturday to leapfrog its opponent into first place. However, Ken Morton believes the Glenorchy Knights, who are second after beating Riverside, are the team to watch.
Really strong defensive players with some inspirational players up front, some guys who can play off the cuff a little bit up there. So I think they've got the package.
South Hobart faces Olympia in a tricky away fixture this Saturday. A Tasmanian apprentice jockey has had a dream debut, riding home a winner in her first start. Chloe Wells guided GG's Cricket to victory in Sprayton. The 6-year-old gelding is trained by Chloe's father, grandfather and uncle. The last apprentice to ride a winner in their first race in Tasmania was Raquel Clark in 2015. And the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers have gone global, with NBA viewers across North America hearing a shout-out to head coach Scott Roth during the Memphis-Toronto game.
During the commercial break, I get a text from none other than Scott Roth, who is watching it in Tasmania, and he is the new head basketball coach in the NBL, which, as we know, is a great league for the Tasmania Jack Jumpers.
That enthusiastic endorsement coming from commentator Matt Devlin. Roth was an assistant at both the Memphis Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. That is a great bit of publicity over there, Kim, for the Jack Jumpers, hey?
Can't put a price on that plug, can you? Thanks very much, Tom.
Good evening. Bushy Park recorded 19 to be the warmest around the state today. Not that 19 feels that warm. Hobart 17 today, Launceston and Burnie 15, Devonport 16 degrees. Flinders Island 18, St Helens and Grove 17, Friendly Beaches 16, Lowhead 15, Strawn 14 and Lyoweeney just into double figures. A cold front brought the cloud and showers today. Best fall to 3 p.m. was 21 millimetres at Mount Reid after a fair bit of rain overnight as well. We see the active band of frontal cloud over southeastern Tasmania and Australia with a line of cloud extending to Western Australia. Colder air sits behind the front to our southwest and we will feel that chill tomorrow. Now, as the front moves well to the east, allowing the high to progress across the country, a weak trough sits over eastern Australia. Winds south-southeasterly 15 to 20 knots, grading to 30 knots over northern waters. A bit of a swing around to the east-northeast in the evening. We have a strong wind warning that's been issued for waters between Sandy Cape and Wineglass Bay. And we have a frost warning for the Midlands to kick us off in the morning. 13 for Hobart, a cool one. Cloudy as well, cloudy for Adventure Bay, just 13 degrees. -2 overnight for Tarraleah, a high of 8. Launceston expecting a top of 14, a mostly sunny afternoon, cloudy for Devonport partly and 14 degrees, 14 as well for Bridport. Burnie expecting 13 and partly cloudy, a sunny day for Strawn, 13 the maximum, 13 for Marrawar. And a high of 13 for St Helens and Swansea, and 15, warming up a bit better there on Flinders Island. On Wednesday, fine until showers develop over the north in the evening. Widespread morning frost. Showers developing on Thursday, mainly over the north and west. Snow to 800 metres in the west. And on Friday, snow to 700 metres with more showers over the west, central and south, possibly getting over other regions as well. A sunny 27 in Perth tomorrow. Cloudy weather for Adelaide. Showers clearing and a cool one in Melbourne. A possible storm forecast for Sydney and Brisbane, a sunny 35 in Darwin. And a fair bit of cloud over Hobart and Devonport at the moment, a few showers in Launceston. And Kim, you're right, yes, it was a fairly bleak day today. Had me thinking too, Mondays, they're an awful way to spend 1/7 of your life.
I agree. More Fridays, please. Well, finally tonight, an American company is offering a dream job, quite literally. It's hiring a team of 5 nap reviewers. Applicants must be willing to doze off every day for 30 straight days and then write about the experience. They're paying about 65 Aussie dollars per nap. The company, which offers sleep tips and mattress reviews, is investigating the pros and cons of taking a daily nap. They could just check in with Murph. And that is all your news for now. We'll have updates throughout the evening. On behalf of the entire team, good night.